2003.
2000, new car.
Suddenly it's a 4-star.
That's a 4-star car. So it's like the Fiesta. It's not as safe as the Avensis, but it's not bad. You can crash into another A4, you'll be all right. Anyone else? A what?
Daewoo Nexia.
A Daewoo Nexia. Have you got a Daewoo Nexia? No, they haven't bothered. Anyone else? Mercedes C-Class. That's a 5-star one, isn't it?
Yeah.
A new one. Oh, a 99.
Ah, well, it'll be interesting to see how it differs. Mercedes C-Class, unless it's after 2001 when it became 4 stars, it is a 2-star car.
So have you got, what year's yours?
99.
Yeah, it's 2 stars.
99?
Yeah.
Really drive carefully on the way home. My suggestion to you is if something pulls out, really brake hard, OK? A 2-star car, you really don't want to be crashing. Seriously. Has anyone here got a Ford Escort? You've got a Ford Escort?
Cosworth.
Doesn't matter. Goodbye. Yeah, you've got a Bentley Turbo. Do you know, I bet they haven't crashed one of those. Have you crashed a Bentley Turbo?
I bet they got to the day and thought, no, I can't.
No, the Bentley Turbo went through the concrete block, through the back wall, and carried on, nobody knew.
Still going.
It's still having an accident, yeah?
Citroen Saxo.
A Citroen Saxo. That's kind of like a carrier bag, isn't it? Have you done a Citroen Saxo?
Yeah, it's in here, Jeremy. It's a 2-star.
That's a 2-star car.
Whoops.
Now, honestly, how does that make you feel, knowing now that you've got a car which is going to behave in an accident worse, that this is a 3-star car here, OK? The Freelander's 3-star, yours is 2-star. How does it make you feel?
Very nervous.
I mean, it is a strange thing about safety, is you just... When you see that, you think, well, I've no need to have a car, because if you had a Fiesta, you know, you could have an accident, same accident as you do in the Citroen, and you'd be OK.
The thing is, there's no guarantees that any of these cars will behave how they're said to in this list, but you've got to admit it makes some pretty interesting reading. And if you want to know more, the next round of NCAP results are out in about a week.
Now, an apology. Earlier on in the show, I forgot to give you the price of the Koenigsegg. It's £354,000. Sorry about that. Still, let me cheer you up with a world exclusive. This. This is, I think, the most beautiful car I have ever seen. It doesn't look wrong from any angle. It's the new Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Got a 4.3-litre V8 engine at the front, rear-wheel drive, gearbox at the back for perfect weight distribution. It's light, it's going to be very, very fast, and it'll cost a very reasonable £70,000. Going on sale in 2005. So, have you just ordered a Porsche 911 recently?
Do you know, I think he's right, because I am about the world's biggest Porsche 911 fan, and if I had just ordered one, I think I would be on the phone to the Samaritans. It's an astonishing car. Right, time for the news. First up this week, news of, well, you know when you buy something vaguely technical, could be a microwave, could be a toaster, a car, you get instructions, yeah?
Yeah.
Hundreds of pages of it. When you get a baby, which is actually quite a complicated piece of kit, you don't get any instructions at all.
No.
None. Until now, because, of all people, Haynes. You must have heard of them. They do these sort of manuals. You know, there's a Peugeot 405, and there's the Ford Fiesta Service and Repair Manual. Been doing it for years. They've done another one, and it's on the baby, apparently.
They're doing one on the baby?
A Haynes manual for babies.
That's the most dangerous thing I can think of.
I have reservations.
The sort of people who buy those manuals are the sort of people who think they know better than the experts.
Yes.
This baby's got a leak out of the barrel, brown stuff. I put the sump plug in. There we are, that's better. Now stop that.
It's just not the place for amateurism.
This is fantastic news for British medicine. You know, we've had all that test tube baby stuff. Let's have the first baby born in an inspection pit.
Yes.
So regards medical science.
No, it's the notion of, no, I'm not going to take you to the hospital. Come down to the shed. Bring the plunger, I'll do a Von Tusen delivery for them. There we go, that's got it out.
No problem.
You know what's always worried me about Haynes manuals is this thing. You've got these little pictures. I'm sure you're all familiar with this, and you get the oily hand of Haynes in the picture. Do you want that in the caesarean ward?
No.
Exactly.
What gets me is when they made it, because the way they make this, it's quite simple. They get some bloke, Derek, whatever, beard, spanner, and they get the car in and he takes it apart and they take photographs. And they must go through like, well, when you've done a Ford Fiesta, can you do the Peugeot 405, Derek? And then, well, we've got an unusual one for you next. Thunk baby. What do you can start with that?
I'll have its liver out in a jiffy.
No worries. I've got news of a fantastic new car alarm from Cobra. Now, this is very, very high-tech. Anywhere your car is in Europe, this system, linked to satellites, it knows exactly where your car is. And if your car is stolen, It will send you an email, a text message, or a fax.
A fact.
Does anybody use this stuff?
Well, the speediest means of communication known to man.
Well, I had this vision. Whenever I'm in my office and I'm working away on something, I hear that little click, the fax machine's going, I think, ooh, a fax. He sits down and it goes, dear Mr. May, and I think, fantastic, your car, oh, my car, what's that, has been, what, entered for a Reader's Digest drawer, stolen.
Okay.
Look at this. The new BMW M3 CSL. BMW obviously very worried about the amount of cars that are thrashing this. Oh, here we are, look. They're obviously very worried about the number of cars that are beating it round our track. The standard M3, we had the Vauxhall VX220 that did it, the Audi S4 did it. So what they've done is they made a lightweight version of it. Cost you £58,500. But what slightly worries me, chaps, is that it's got a limiter, limiting it to 155 miles an hour, but you can have it disengaged if you've got a racing licence. Oh. The last people in the world that you want to be driving around at 180 are racing drivers, and they're tiny, tiny little racing driver brains.
I've got a racing licence.
Exactly.
Yes.
How many races have you actually done with your racing licence?
Well, I haven't done any, Jeremy.
There you
Actually,
go.
at all, none.
That's the
You
thing.
can go in.
You
yes.
can go in and say, could you take that race at the limiter off? Yes, absolutely. We go in. Can you take it off? We're all our forties and very respect. No, I'm sorry, you can't.
I'm really looking forward to that. I love the old CSL.
I used to
you've got
have
a
an old
racing license.
CSL.
Did you? Is it a bit rough for you, Jeremy?
No, the old
They're not.
CSL, what you used to have to do is put cement bags in the boot. I'm not joking. I bought it was so light, it didn't need brakes, it needed guide ropes to stop it floating away. So you go into a corner and oh my God, and so you had to weigh the back down.
There was another car you used to have to do that with, concrete blocks in the boot. Morris Minor. It had that in common with the CSL.
My granny had a Morris Minor. I don't ever remember her saying, well, of course, the handling's not so good if you don't have concrete blocks in the boot.
I'm just a bit worried that we've ended up talking about Morris Minors at all. I really
Exactly. I've got a safety thing that I want to do.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, look here. It's this green thing.
And it is?
It's a hearing aid. Funky hearing aid. I'm
Oh, that's
deaf,
nice.
but I'm funky. Look at that.
It's a special device for making you look like a total Bert.
Yeah.
It works
The thing
well.
is you put it on your head while you're driving along, and then, if you nod off, you fall asleep, ready?
Jeremy, that's safe. Well done. I think that's safe.
Just before we get carried away, though, I've spotted a couple of drawbacks with this. You're driving along, you want to change radio channels. You want to get something out of the glove box.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No. Do you know what? I think you've messed it up. Oh, turn it off. I think you've messed up again, and I think that's your second safety mess-up, which is 2 strikes. I think one more and you're out. You've got one more chance to redeem yourself.
Oh, no, I've got a really good safety thing coming up now.
Go on.
Here's some war.
Oh, dear.
After the Second World War, General Patton said victory would not have been possible without the Willis Jeep. The modern-day equivalent is the Humvee. Its wheels are wide apart, so they fit in the tracks left by tanks. And there's 16 inches of ground clearance, double what you get on any other off-road car. When the First Gulf War was over, some generals followed in Patton's footsteps and said victory was due in no small part to this incredible car. Although the Iraqi army's decision to run away may also have had something to do with it.
Now, after the Gulf War, Arnold Schwarzenegger went to see the people who make the Humvee and said, could you do a civilian version? Because I'd like to buy one.
Jeremy, I mean, we're fascinated. With you all the way.
Yeah.
It's not got anything to do with safety, has it?
No,
nothing.
it has. Trust me. Watch this.
If you're looking for the safest car in the world, this is it.
You'd call the performance quite good if this were a boat. And that means you're never really going fast enough to have a crash. Of course, if someone runs into you, well, you're never going to know. There are some drawbacks, though, chief among which is having a conversation in here. The 4 seats, and there are only 4, are so far apart they're in different time zones. Then you've got the enormous, rattly 6.5-litre turbo diesel engine sort of here in the middle of the room. And then you've got the torque converters in the wheels, which sound like giant nuclear-powered pepper grinders. Small wonder that Arnold Schwarzenegger was so good at shouting in his films. I want your clothes and your motorcycle. He absolutely will not stop.
And the problems aren't limited to talking. There are other issues too. Can you guess what they are?
Oh, this is a narrow street, and somebody's parked on it. What a stupid place to park. You realise people have got big American military vehicles they need to get through? I fear I may be causing a few problems here. Sorry. Now, what on earth are we going to do? I'm going to have to back up. There's about 14 cars. This is just the end of the world as we know it. Sorry. Sorry. They're very good-natured people here. Try this anywhere else, I'd have had my head kicked in by now.
The worst thing about the Humvee, though, is not the size or the noise. It's that as you drive along, you can see people on the pavements all mouthing the same thing. Ooh, there goes Chris Eubank.
This is a terrible car. But now, General Motors has bought the rights to make civilian versions of the Humvee, and they've introduced a new version, which is kinder to the environment and softer on your skin.
This is it, the Humvee H2. It doesn't look like the sort of car Chris Eubank would drive. It looks like the sort of car he designed.
It's available in Britain right now with left-hand drive for £60,000. And that seems like quite a lot when you peel away this amazing body and find out what's underneath.
Yep, underneath the abs and the pecs is a GMC Tahoe, which is ugly, big, slow, and completely flummoxed by snow, mud, gravel, soil, grass clippings, drizzle, or even a light breeze. It's rubbish. As a result, the H2 is not going to win any wars. If the Americans ever decide Britain needs a regime change, they won't be storming over the White Cliffs in one of these. Then there's the fuel consumption. I tested an H2 in the desert last year and got 3.3 miles to the gallon.
Unbelievably, it's even worse on the road. If I put my foot down now, the fuel consumption meter thing here is saying I'm doing 1 mile to the gallon. 1! You see, the problem is that while it's smaller and lighter and easier to thread through town than the original Hummer, it still weighs nearly 4 tons. And it has a 6-litre V8 petrol engine.
Don't think that makes it fast, though. You can do what you want with the macho gear lever, but you still won't go. And it stops like a duck on a frozen lake. The thing is, though, that if I may liken most cars to little black dresses, this is a full ball gown with sequins and a bustle. And look at that row of lights on the roof. That's a tiara.
It's a Roman orgy, a Hawaiian barbecue, a Viennese waltz, and a helicopter gunship attack on Las Vegas, all rolled into one. It's fabulous.
Yes, it's thirsty and hopeless and expensive, but I like it. Unlike the H1, it feels like a car to drive. It's quiet and refined and quite well equipped. It's even practical.
If we look in the back, we find that, unlike the H1, there are 3 seats in there. And look at this. A handle so robust, not even a 6-year-old could break it. Then we come round to the back, open the boot with another man-sized handle, and inside we find another seat and space for a dog. And if we lower this, like so, there's space for 2 dogs. So, if you concentrate really hard, you can justify this thing. I have. I've managed to convince myself that it's a sensible family saloon. My wife's not so sure, but, you know, given time, she'll come round to my way of thinking. What you have to understand is that the H2 makes you feel like a 7-year-old boy. And for that alone, you have to love it.
You're not seriously suggesting that this revolting plastic-fronted piece of pig iron is a serious alternative to something like an X5?
It's fantastic.
It's revolting.
Slightly revolting, I admit, but the point of this is that it reminds you what it is that you love about cars in the first place. Every journey in this is an event. You just think, it's great, I want to go into town. I'll save up and come back.
There are some journeys... One way of looking at it, there are some journeys in this that are an event. I saw one. If it wasn't this one, it was one just like it in Manchester a while ago. I did something with it. We finished, the day wrapped up. The owner came to collect it, or rather, his son. And I've got to be honest, there was a bit of showing off going on. Crowd, a bit like today. Ah, he said, I'm going to see if it'll fit through a drive-through at a burger shop. Slammed it in reverse and backed straight over a BMW Z3. Splat, like it wasn't there.
Did you know?
And which car won?
Well, it was the Hummer. I see where you go.
Size is important in these things.
That's a little harsh. That is a little cruel.
Now, I do believe, getting back, if I may, to the safety thing, that if you're going to run into another car, you're better off in something big. And they really don't come much bigger or tougher, really, than this.
That's where you're wrong, because they do. This is the Talon riot control vehicle. Big, innit? But it's not all swagger. This is the real deal. £500,000 worth. It's armour-plated, so it'll withstand that old terror.